You got me fired up, Terry. I just reached up to my push-up.
I'm fired up too, Dan. This is our first show together. It better not be the last one, bro. And you know what I pulled out? Joseph Ratzinger, Collected Works Theology on the Liturgy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fantastic.
anything. Ratzinger was my favorite, man. I just think he's fantastic. Now, Dan, I want to bring the smartest guy into the room, and I consider as Archbishop Fulton Sheen. Let's bring him in. Oh, Sheen ahead. And just a quick note, this Saturday, we're going to have a day with Fulton Sheen at our chapel. And check this out, Dan. We're going to have the mitre of Fulton Sheen, the actual one he wore in our chapel, along with a cassock that he wore prepping for Mass. And that'll be on display here at the Sacred Heart Chapel when we have the talks. And also, just a quick note, we're going to have a Catholic priest who was a Buddhist. He was in a communist country 70 years ago, 60 years ago, right? And the book of Life of Christ was brought into this communist country illegally. He read it when he was 14. He became a Christian, Catholic. And then he became a Catholic priest. He's offering Mass for us on Saturday here at the Sacred Heart Chapel. And he will tell his story in more detail of how Bishop Sheen has affected his life. And I know this priest for many years. He cannot preach a sermon without quoting Fulton Sheen because Sheen introduced them to the person of Jesus Christ. I like to be able to say that every time we go to Mass, we're at that one eternal sacrifice, that we're present at that sacrifice. And I wonder if how many Catholics really understand that that is what happens when they say, I'm bored at Mass. I don't think they understand what is going on. And I just want to add, and I'm going to throw it to you, but I want to talk about, the vertical and the horizontal aspects of the Mass. And the reason I bring this up to you, because you've been nailing it on the vertical aspect, and I think we need to bring that back more into the Mass, because it seems to me that we can get mixed up and start thinking that we're worshiping the priest or maybe even the band that's playing at Mass, and forgetting why we're there. And I think from my experience of 44 years of doing what I'm doing, I got the impression that most Catholics are low information when it comes to what really takes place on the altar. And that's why I want to take this opportunity to have you do a little bit more catechesis on what is the Mass?
The Mass, according to the Council of Trent, is an unbloody representation of Calvary.
There you go.
It's not the celebration of community.
Nope.
It's not the centering around the community meal. There are aspects of community. Right. There are aspects of a meal, right?
Right.
But this is the new covenant. The Mass is a participation in the sacrifice of Calvary. We've lost that. It's a cosmic liturgy. I want to read this from, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back.
I do. Let's get to, we can't talk anything better than the Eucharist. Go for it.
Right. So here's what, you talk about adoration. I've heard this as well. If you want private adoration, go to the Adoration Chapel. The Mass is a communal prayer, and the proper posture is standing. This is what I've heard.
Oh, really?
I met this, I had a meeting with one of the archbishops, auxiliary bishops in Germany, in the city there, and I walk into the room and I could tell he's sizing me up, and I'm kind of sizing him up. It's almost like two fighters walking into the ring. Oh, we're going to do this. And so I just throw out Ratzinger. I just say, Excellency, I'm a huge fan of Cardinal Ratzinger. I think his theology will change the church at the time bomb. Yep. If the church would ever go back and study it. And he put his guard down, and we immediately started talking. We spent an hour just talking about Ratzinger. But here's what it says. The Christian liturgy is a cosmic liturgy because it bends the knee before the crucified and exalted Lord. Here is the center of authentic culture, the culture of truth. The humble gesture by which we fall at the feet of the Lord inserts us into the true path of the life of the cosmos, that we're entering into the cosmic liturgy. And then he talks about the importance of kneeling.
Yes.
That allegedly, according to Eusebius, church historian, James, the brother of the Lord, the first bishop of Jerusalem, the head of the Jewish church, the Jewish Christian church, had calluses on his knees because he was always worshiping God and begging forgiveness for his people. He's talking about doing reparation. There's a story, he says, that comes from the saying of the Desert Fathers, according to which the devil was compelled by God to show himself to certain Abba Apollo. He looked black and ugly with frighteningly thin limbs, but most strikingly, he had no knees.
Exactly.
The inability to kneel is seen as the very essence of the diabolical.
Yep.
This is the Pope Benedict writing, but he was still Cardinal Patrick.
Yes.
He said, in terms of kneeling, he uses the Greek, the tais ta gonata. It's unknown in classical Greek. He said this is a specifically Christian word to bend the knee. With that remark, our reflections come full circle. It may well be that kneeling is alien to modern culture, insofar it is culture, for this culture has turned away from the faith and no longer knows the one before whom kneeling is the right, indeed, the intrinsically necessary gesture. The man who learns to believe learns also to kneel. God bless this father, because he knew this instinctively. The man who learns to believe learns also to kneel. And a faith or a liturgy no longer familiar with kneeling would be sick at the core.
Boy, well said. That's Ratzinger nailed it again. Again, I would encourage you to get, if you didn't get that title, The Spirit of the Liturgy from Ignatius Press. Would be a great book to read on the Holy Eucharist. Dan,
it's going to make you mad. If you read this book, it'll make you mad.
Oh, yeah, but you know what it also make you realize?
I mean, it'll make you like, what happened to our liturgy? What happened?
Well, this is, Dan, you nailed it again on that. That's exactly right. When you read the Vatican II document on the liturgy, and you see the document says, and the priest turns around and says, the Lord be with you, what is that indicating? Ad orientem. He's not facing you.